Light 2 was announced in 2018 and was actually scheduled to be released in spring of 2020. Unfortunately, this time last year, Techland did reveal that they will not be able to hit that mark of spring 2020, and they did delay Dying Light indefinitely. But recently, we have been hearing quite a few different rumors, as well as Techland even gave a few hints about new information coming soon. And fans are really hoping that this will be the announcement of the new release date, and hopefully it will be in 2021. But before we do get any more information, we do just need to quickly recap everything that we know about Dying Light 2. Before I do get into the video though, if you do want to see any more content from me, you can find a number of different links in the description down below. This will take you over to different platforms such as Twitter or even Twitch, where I go live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Or you can go and find the other YouTube channels where I post regularly. Links to all of that can be found in the description down below. Getting back into the video, Dying Light is an action survival game presented in a first-person perspective. This game is set in a vast and dangerous open world. During the day, you roam an urban environment devastated by a mysterious epidemic, scavenging for supplies and crafting weapons to help you defeat the hordes of mindless flesh-hungry enemies the plague has created. At night, the hunter becomes the prey as the infected grow in strength and aggression. You will need to make use of your skills and any available means to survive till dawn. This is the description of the Dying Light world. The original Dying Light was released for PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Microsoft Windows on January the 27th in 2015. And Dying Light was such a huge success that it allowed Techland to have creative independence for years to come. And that's what brings us to here, with Dying Light 2. So Dying Light 2 was originally announced in E3 2018 with a trailer, but details since 2019 have been a bit sparse. It was delayed in January 2020 near the beginning of the pandemic, with no new release window announced. Techland have been relatively quiet since then, though they continue to occasionally reassure fans on Twitter that the game is in progress. But we do still already know quite a bit of information about Dying Light 2. You'll be taking a role of Aiden Cadwell, an infected survivor looking for a cure in an unidentified European city, where the player encounters and has the choice to aid various factions that are based within it, and this can affect your outcome and gameplay. The game is set 15 years after the events of Dying Light, and that is why I did quickly go through a brief description of what the original Dying Light was. This means that the Haran virus has spread across the world and has evolved. This has now led the world into what is known as the modern Dark Ages. As previously mentioned, Dying Light was initially set to release during the spring of 2020. The game was delayed indefinitely in January. It has now been a year and we still have not heard much about it. There's no indication when the game might actually launch. Fans are still hoping for 2021 release, and there has been a few hints that we will be getting some new news soon. From a number of different interviews with Techland developers and quite a few different articles coming out, apparently Dying Light 2 is within the last stretch. This is now about polishing the game, so hopefully we will not have to wait too long. It will be released on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X. As this is a game set 15 years after the previous game, people have somewhat adapted to the situation. You look through the trailers and the gameplay that's been offered by Techland, buildings are still crumbling and some areas are completely overgrown, but people are living there, separated by different factions, which is signified by the banners. There seems to be quite a lot of things going on with a much denser population than expected with a post-apocalyptic game, and yet everything still looks run down. Whilst we're on the subject of talking about the map, Dying Light developers have said that Dying Light 2's map is 4 times bigger compared to the previous, which is just insane. Especially when we never really had any complaints about the size of the previous map. The size of the map matched up with the parkour moves means you can endlessly hop around on different buildings at different levels and explore the world like never before. Whilst we're on the subject of parkour, you will be playing as a different character, but parkour still plays an integral part of the game, except they've put a lot more time into it so that now you'll have double the parkour moves. In the gameplay demo, it was mentioned that Dying Light 2 has double the amount of parkour moves compared to the previous game, and you could probably already tell that when just looking at the gameplay demo. As Aiden is chasing down a truck, you can see all the little tricks that are pulled out as he tries to catch up. And it should lead to some very exciting chases / getaways in high intense moments. Along with the double parkour moves, there are a number of different ways that you can seamlessly merge parkour and combat. And we've seen this when Aiden jumps off the building whilst also taking a zombie down with him, and we've also seen it with the grappling hook. The grappling hook is a way for you to get from point to point by swinging, and you can use it when trying to traverse between building to building. But it can also be used within combat by using a grappling hook to hook above, swing and kick enemies. This is supposed to be one little thing that you can do with parkour and combat, and apparently there is a lot more, so I do very much look forward to what else is to be revealed. Moving on to some things that are new to the game. First thing to talk about is the story. In an interview with Prankster 101, Dying Light 2 lead designer Timon Smektala, which I think I'm very much mispronouncing, shared some details about the game's length. All the story will be around 15 to 20 hours to complete. Wrapping up everything will take closer to 100 hours or more. And recently we have seen quite a few different game companies taking a shorter narrative. We used to get games with 30 hours plus with main content, but a lot of these games companies have noticed that players are not able to complete the full game, getting around 60 to 70%. So shortening the main story will allow more players to complete the story and opt into other content that's optional to play in free roam. But with Techland and comparing it to Dying Light, we are looking at a very similar story length, as that was 18 hours. But with this, we should be getting a very polished story, as developers said this: delaying the game open up opportunities to nail down the story part of the game, choices our players can make, as well as up the level of open world opportunities that players will face. And delaying the game by a year to focus on these components, hopefully they've made a very good job with them. A new thing with Dying Light 2 is the narrative choices, and it seems no matter which one you pick, it always ends in a negative effect. And we've seen an example of this in the Dying Light 2 4K gameplay demo. We see the choice of either picking a friend that just got shot called Frank, or the choice to chase down a truck which is holding the city's water supply. The choice made in the gameplay demo was actually to chase down the truck, and later we find out that Frank, the person that did get shot earlier, ended up dying from the gunshot wound. And it is implied that staying with Frank, things could have turned out differently, but it would also mean that the city would go without water, so there could have been even more fatalities. These choices will change a lot of different aspects of the game, so they are an integral part of Dying Light 2, but it's also been confirmed that not every single choice is like this. The developers want there to be everlasting effect on your choices, but depending on what the choice you make, supposedly there are some narrative choices that can be reversed. Developers explained how some choices isn't as simple as a reset button. It's not like you can go back to the moment that you made that decision and change it. This isn't a time traveling mechanic within the game. What you would need to do is do some additional stuff, like complete a couple extra missions to fix the thing that you think you did wrong. These choices are very rare, as 90% of the choices that you make are permanent. And so far, with the limited trailers and the limited gameplay, we haven't seen one of these choices being reversed yet. So this is something that I hope we get to see before release. The final thing to talk about is development. This is focusing on recent news. Development has seemed to be a bit of a struggle for Techland, but to be honest, who hasn't struggled over the last year? Recently, we've had the news about the lead narrative leaving Techland. Dying Light 2 narrative lead Paul Selinger has left Techland after 22 years with the company. Selinger was a lead artist and art director at the Techland prior to working on Dying Light 2, and was one of the key voices in determining the upcoming game's overall vision. Selinger's duties were taken over in October 2020 by another name that I'm going to mispronounce, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Petra Szymanek, who is a Polish TV writer who previously worked with HBO Europe. Now this is a huge blow to the company, especially when Techland themselves in 2020 said that Selinger was one of the key voices in creating the game's overall vision. But following this, in the statement, we do see that we will be getting some new information about Dying Light 2 soon. So if you do want to be kept up to date on all the latest news about Dying Light 2, then I highly recommend subscribing. This is a game that I am very much looking forward to. If you do want to see any more content from me, as previously mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can find links to absolutely everything in the description down below. This includes content over on Twitch, where I stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, or you can go over to one of the YouTube channels where you have the option to find more information about Red Dead Online, or you can go and find an entertainment channel where all the best and funny moments that have been streamed over on Twitch get recorded and get cut up into edited footage on that channel. Links to absolutely everything can be found in the description down below. Anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going to see ya.